and confidence in a new leadership. Months down the road, how do people feel and how are I am Tenengit and a very warm welcome to the news, but first we take a look at the headlines. Gambians assess President Barrow's 100 days in office. Former Burundian president and delegation hold talks with President Barrow. Former Gambian leader Sir Dawda Jawara clocks 93. And striking dock workers in Cameroon shut down activities at the main seaport in Douala. Well, that viewers, these and many more coming ahead in this half hour. I am Tenengite. And now the news in detail. For the past 3 months, the people of the Gambia and the wider world watched as the new government remarked the Gambia's development agenda. Among President Barrow's major reforms is building an inclusive government that responds to the needs of all. Modu Bajan brings our coverage of the features on the new government's 100 days with this report.
It is the business of every citizen to partake in the political process. But how is political inclusion faring in the Gambia, especially in the first 100 days of President Barrow's coalition government? It's true democracy is more than elections, but it's equally true that without elections, democracy will remain an illusion. The chairman of the Independent Electoral Commission, Ali Momanjai, believes the Barrow administration is maintaining the independence of the IEC, a key step in creating political inclusion.
As far as the independence of the Commission is concerned, we all know that the previous regime really was doing things the way they wanted to do, not the way we wanted to do. And with this new government now, under the leadership of President Adama Barrow, as far as we are concerned, we have regained our full independence.
Being the country's only television station, and more importantly, its state broadcaster, what is the stance of Gambia Radio and Television Services in enhancing political pluralism? Ibrahim Silla is the Director General of GRTS.
The Gambia Radio and Television Services is doing all what we can to ensure that all political parties are duly represented in terms of our coverage on their activities, and also to ensure that they have equal access to the state broadcaster.
Mr. Silla also unveiled plans to initiate a new program that will give opposition parties a platform to engage the citizenry.
In fact, as we speak, we have already written to all the political parties to inform them of our new program schedule that we are going to implement towards the end of this month in May, which actually will have different programs, but more so programs on politics and political parties in this country.
Since the government and the opposition more or less represent the population, political analyst Dr. Ismaila Sise is of the view that more dialogue is vital.
We have all been saying that Barrow's government is a new government, just 100 days. I think it's too early to evaluate them on that front, but I think they still have a lot to do. I think opposition politics is very important in any country, for any democracy, insofar as governance is concerned. So I think what the Barrow government has to do is to create institutions that can make sure that can ensure inclusion, especially political inclusion.
The interim leader of the former ruling APRC party, Fabakary Tombong Jatta, said the party is ready to work with the Barrow government, but
we will engage government in whatever they do. We will applaud them for any meaningful development they do for the betterment of the Gambian people. But we will also not hesitate to cry out if we believe that certain things happening are not in the interest of the Gambian people. That's one difference.
The Gambia Democratic Congress is a party that believes in peace, unity, and the indivisibility of Gambians. Actually, Barrow is a Gambian citizen, and I can say he is a good leader. The only issue which today lies to be a national duty upon all of us is to give him the helping hand that is required in order for him to make an advancement. He has to have all the advices necessary to make a forge ahead.
Has Barrow's government done enough to beef up political inclusion in its early days, or is it early to be judgmental on the issue? This may perhaps be better interpreted in the coming months and years. Modu Bajan reporting for GRTS News.
We'll have a full version of that story in our 10 p.m. bulletin. But still on President Barrow's 100 days in office, relations between the Gambia and Senegal suffered under the Jammeh administration. But with the coming of the new government, relations have been warming up. And Sujak has more on that.
Change in government in the Gambia did not only usher in hope and freedom for Gambians, but also solidify the formerly fragile relations between Dakar and Banjul. The Senegalese government contributed significantly to the resolution of the post-election standoff in the Gambia earlier this year.
There is a new Senegambia, and this is acknowledged by both countries, Gambia and Senegal. From December to now, so many things have happened in a positive way. The Gambia and Senegal have entered into specific agreements, and for instance, the security agreements, and there are more other agreements that have been looked at by different executives in terms of ministerial level and also executive. So we see that this is a new Gambia with new partnerships, and particularly a new Senegal-Gambia relationship. Both heads of states are politically committed to that new relationship, to build it stronger from year to year.
Both the Gambia and Senegal are aware of the importance of strengthened bilateral relations, as both nations are ready to boost their trade ties.
The Senegalo-Gambian Association for Integration and Socio-Economic Development is a Senegambian civil society organization which has a Gambian chapter and a Senegalese chapter.
Senegal played a crucial role during the political deadlock. Its forces were part of the economic forces that intervened at the request of President Barrow to restore political stability. Some of the Senegalese troops are still in town. Before President Barrow took office, efforts were made to construct the Farafenni Bridge, but due to some diplomatic difficulties, there was little progress. However, with President Barrow in charge, things are saving up fast. The Farafenni Bridge would soon be a permanent landmark in the Gambia.
The mandate of the permanent secretariat really is to facilitate harmonization of policies of the two governments.
A detachment of troops from the Gambian forces took part in Senegal's 57th independence anniversary, a major symbolic indication of the newly found Senegambian spirit.
It is something that used to happen a long time ago. Of recent, it has not been happening, the past 22 years, it has not been happening. But recently we were able to at least restart, that contact, and we hope to continue and even, consolidate on that.
Some Gambians are optimistic that henceforth relations between the two neighbors will continue to grow from strength to strength.
I believe, and I'm very, very optimistic that the relationship is growing from strength to strength. I believe personally that relationships are meant to be worked upon because we have our interests of both nations at heart. So if we have interests of both nations at heart, then we might clash in a certain point, but it is going to be worked out through negotiations and dialogue.
When you move from the Gambia, the first country that you think of is Senegal. When you want to escape, is Senegal. So it's good that we have a relationship, a close relationship with them. But that does not require Senegalese government meddling into our private or into the way we run the affairs of our country.
Make ties or relations with the foreign countries, most especially our neighbor Senegal. In this, we'll be able to boost and develop our economy. In having good relationship in terms of trade, industries, will help us to be able to attain our goals in terms of economy, boosting our economy.
We could be hopeful that the rebirth of a new Senegambia will go a long way towards opening new opportunities for improved socio-economic gains for the people of the region. I am Ansu Jack, reporting for Grts News.
Well, still on our special reports on the Barrow's presidency, our Iminja assesses the impact of the tax reduction instituted by the government to reduce the prices of basic commodities. Let's take a listen.
President Adama Barrow came to power in January after defeating longtime leader Yahya Jammeh in the December 2016 presidential election. 100 days into office, the new Gambia led by President Barrow is witnessing a massive change. A number of developmental activities bankrolled by the new administration are taking shape, from reforming security services to ensuring accountability for alleged past human rights violations, and from the release of political prisoners to the change of official working days.
The 5 days, I think, we are thinking in that line. You start work from 8 to 6 is a long period. Sometimes when you get home, it's late. I think we will come back to the 5 days. That will be more preferable, I think, for many Gambians.
Gambians are beginning to enjoy the affordability of basic commodities, as reductions of taxes on many basic commodities are creating waves. Although not applicable to all, some prices have gone down.
Prices of some basic commodities are going down, especially with onions and potatoes. However, the likes of sugar and cooking oil stand still.
President Barrow did not lose sight of the fact agriculture is the backbone of the economy. Agri-produce are widely consumed by Gambians, particularly onions produced locally. The recent lifting of the ban on the importation of onions has pros and cons to the local producers.
The lifting of the ban on the importation of onions is not proper, because the government should help us. Our produce should be given top priority, because under such a circumstance, our onions wouldn't sell as they should. Sometimes we are forced to bring back our produce to our homes from the market when there are no sales.
Different price.
The price of onions is really not static, as it keeps changing. For us, the dealers, the imported onions are more profitable due to the demand for it. Our appeal to the authorities is to reduce the price of the imported onions, so that we, the traders too, can bring our price slightly down.
Business fluctuates for us due to the availability of imported onions. Buyers prefer the imported onion to the locally grown variety. Despite the money we invest in the imports, like fertilizer, we are still forced to sell our onions at a lesser price compared to the imported ones.
Talking to key players in the country's agri sector, they acknowledge some of the implications the lifting of the ban could have.
The lifting of ban on the importation of agricultural commodities, particularly onions, may have some implications for our economy. We must know that for each country there are comparative advantages, and it would be better for the Gambia to develop in areas where we have comparative advantage. I'm not saying that we must not import onions particularly, but we can grow onions well.
While many local onion producers and vendors continuing to raise concern about the little profit in the business and the hike in the price of the homegrown onions, this is what the Agriculture Director General said.
If you produce more onions, the price certainly will come down. So in production economics, it's very, very simple. If there is scarcity in market, it will be expensive. If it is produced too much, then as more is produced, the price would come down. It's not enough. That's why this importation is coming. But what is not enough, the importation we are bringing in should be to fill a gap, but not to saturate the market.
President Barrow's first 100 days in office saw him actively spearheading efforts geared towards advancing various national development targets contained in the country's development blueprint. Gambians are optimistic of more developments added to the ones that have already started creating waves. Ominjai, GRTS.
Meanwhile, our Ibrahim Balde has been speaking to the Ministry of the Interior, Mai Ahmed Fati, and the Public Relations Officer of the Gambia Democratic Congress GDC, Mohamed M5 Jallo, about the progress made in President Barrow's 100 days. Let's take a listen.
The very first significant achievement of this government is the evidence today. The evidence here that when the ruling government coalition and the opposition can sit together freely and openly to discuss topical issues of relevance to the country. That shows you that the new Gambia has arrived. For the past 2 decades or so, it has been impossible. No opposition party leader or significant member of the opposition ever appeared before national television or radio except the very limited time during elections. So the fact that we are here today demonstrates the freedom of expression in conformity with the Constitution of the Gambia is one of the greatest achievements of this government over the past 100 years.
The Gambia is today enjoying a high sense of peace. People are no longer fearful of going out, getting arrested as it used to be. That is something I have to affirm and wish to thank the government for having done all the means to arrive at having the Gambia to that standard. So it's congratulatory from the GDC to the ruling government. We are still saying that it's a fact to accept that a lot has been achieved. But nonetheless, we wish to advise that the government must be conscious of the international world order. Circumstantially, where are nations heading to, and how much is the Gambia prepared at the level of the government? That is a piece of advice I will utter. Furthermore, I would want to say we need to do a lot of efforts in arriving at realizing the dream that was embedded in the hope of Gambians after the change. That is the new Gambia.
We'll continue our special features and programs on President Barrow's 100 days in our 10 p.m. news bulletin and our various programs in the coming days. And for now, a joint delegation of EU, UN, ECOWAS and AU officials led by former Burundian President Pierre Buyoya Tuesday held discussions with President Adama Barrow on how to assess the Gambia. This follows a request from the government for assistance in security sector reform, dialogue and reconciliation, as well as economic recovery. Aomo Rijalo spoke to Mr. Buyoya after the meeting. Let's take a listen.
Came as an assessment mission to discuss with the authority the best way to deliver this assistance, and after that we'll go back to Addis Ababa, make our report, and then come with concrete proposal. We were also asked to discuss with other partners on the ground to see how we can coordinate our effort with them. And we have been very lucky. The other institutions, ECOWAS, UN, EU, accepted to come with us to see the president, to listen to him together. And I think it has been a very, very fruitful discussion. Now we understand from the highest level what are the expectations, what are the priorities, and then now it's up to us to continue to work and to see the best way to assist the Gambia.
Meanwhile, the French ambassador to the Gambia, Christophe Bigot, Wednesday paid a courtesy call on the Minister of Women's Affairs, Ajaratu Fatoumata Jallow Tambajang. Shortly after their meeting, Ambassador Bigot spoke to waiting journalists. Again, let's take a listen.
We also mentioned the fact that we will, on issues like justice, we will organize a kind of workshop in June to kind of a follow-up on your process of reconciliation and truth. because I think it's very important, that experiences that were useful, whether it's in East of Europe or whether it's Latin America or Africa, can be shared with the Gambians. We also mentioned the fact that on issues like security, as we have 350 soldiers based in Dakar, who are fully ready to integrate Gambian forces into exercise, into training, as we do with 15 other countries in the region. Because I think it's important to reintegrate Gambia fully in the region, to put back in some way Gambia on the map, whether it's for education or military issues. We discussed also about the importance of agriculture. It happens that I'm leading for these last 48 hours a delegation of French businessmen who are located in Dakar, and they want to seize possible opportunities to invest here in Gambia. They want to check whether they could create, business interests between Gambia and their companies. And some of them have a special interest for agriculture. And I think it's high time, for agriculture to become an economy, provide employees, provide jobs, and provide also resources and benefits for the people.
State attorneys have asked for more time to prepare new indictments against Swanding Kamara and Babukar Jaju, who were arrested and arraigned in the alleged abduction and murder of late parliamentarian Mahawa Cham and Suleiman Dao. This as the accused persons lament their continued incarceration without bail. Ibrahima Jata has the rest in this report.
Swanding Kamara and Babukar Jaju were previously charged with abduction and conspiracy for the purpose of murder at the lower court. Their case was consequently transferred to the High Court, yet state attorneys have not filed new indictments or forwarded any witnesses since the transfer to the High Court, where the accused persons continue to appear. When the matter was mentioned before Justice Odoma at the High Court, State Counsel Lamin Jaju asked for more time to proceed, noting that prosecution is currently reviewing the evidence in the case file. The State Attorney assured the High Court that new indictments will be certainly pre-filed before the next adjourned date. The accused persons who are still unrepresented and without a lawyer expressed their concern over the continued delays hampering the case, noting that they are Gambian citizens and family men with responsibilities. Our fate is still unknown, and we are currently remanded in custody. If granted bail, we will appear in court when required to do so. That submission was meant to be an application for bail, pending prosecution's preparedness to proceed with the matter, but presiding Judge Justice Odoma asked the accused persons to find proper representation. When a relative of the first accused, Mori Keba Kamara, was quizzed about finding a lawyer, he told the court that he is in the process of selling a landed property of his to secure representation for the accused persons. I have settled half of this fee, but the counsel who is supposed to represent the accused is currently indisposed, Kamara told the High Court. According to the prosecutor, the state will definitely file new indictments before the next adjourned date, which was subsequently slated for the 25th of May 2017. Ibrahima Jata, GRTS.
The Speaker of the National Assembly Wednesday joined former President Sir Dawda Kairaba Jawara at his Fajara residence to celebrate his birthday. The event, as Winifred Nicole reports, was graced by the Director General of GRTS and family members.
Kairaba Jawara, the man who led the Gambia to independence, has clocked 93. A birthday cake marking the moment was the present from the Speaker of the National Assembly.
Oh, it's a great feeling, wonderful to think of all. It reminds me of all the old days in the Gambia when we were a lot younger than we are today. And remembering these things are a wonderful experience to be reminded of the of the history and the traditions that are passed through.
Born 16th May 1924, Sadauda was a champion of peace and human rights, who won recognition both at home and abroad. The founding president ruled from 1965 to 1994, when he was overthrown in a military coup. Honorable Mariam Jack Denton said, the former president, whom she calls Papa, was a childhood friend to her father, the late Sir Aliu Suleiman Jack.
The father of the nation, and I think everybody appreciates that and accepts it. He's just sorry that Gambians don't know fitna. And these were his very words, and he was very concerned. But we all thank Allah that we are probably back to democracy, and that we will continue to live in peace and enjoy democracy, good governance, and the rule of law, and of course respect for human rights.
The Director General of GRTS was also at hand to wish Sadauda happy birthday.
We all remember the wonderful days of His Excellency former President Sadauda Jawara, and the democracy and good governance that used to characterize his government and his way of governance. As an uncle, a blood uncle for that matter, family member, to appreciate all what he did for us, the democracy that we enjoy, the peace and stability, the economic progress, and everything that at least free people used to enjoy in their country.
As our elderly statesman turns 93, we hope his positive legacy will continue to inspire current and future politicians in building a better Gambia.
اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Reporting for GRTS News, I am Winifred Nico.
Well, happy birthday to you. And with that, we'll come to a break. When we return, we take a look at news from outside the Gambia. We'll be right back.
Assalamu alaikum Gambia. Sen dom la bay babu borom damay fahas malaw. yaa ma gën a xam ceeb bu sew di leen wax ne Africell beta bondul gaaw na sell la wóor te yomba maa ngi connecté wu Snapchat, Viber, Facebook, Instagram.
Runners from around the world have taken part in the Great Wall of China Marathon. The event in Beijing comprises 4 categories. UTN's Rachel Rubel has more in this report.
This isn't how most tourists typically start their visit to the Great Wall of China. But these aren't your typical tourists.
We want you to be going in and out of the towers and up and downstairs all day,
All day is no exaggeration.
So, there's over 20,000 steps today to be run. It's going to be an amazing day just to be out on the wall. It's a great experience.
With more than 20,000 steps over 26.2 miles, that's more than 42 kilometers, this isn't your average marathon. This is a real test of human endurance. In its second year, the organizers of the Conquer the Wall Marathon call it the most challenging marathon in the world. But it's more than just the challenge that attracts these runners.
The Great Wall, for us, is very famous things and its history. So when you run this kind of marathon, you're not just run, you just pass through the history. Passing through history while pushing themselves to the limit.
After more than 7 hours, Mihai Pantish from Romania was the first marathoner to cross the finish line.
But it was more difficult than I expected, actually, because the first half was more, let's say, more manageable, but then the second half was just up and down.
Following shortly behind in second place, Hua Fengzeng, a well-known ultramarathoner from China.
The track of today's race was quite tough. The entire distance was about 42 kilometers, and we had to keep climbing up, so it was quite difficult.
Amanda Stevens from Canada was the first female marathon finisher after more than 9 hours.
It was so beautiful, and it was such a unique opportunity to get to be on the wall with so little people. There's so few people out there, and it was gorgeous, but mostly it was a big Oktoberfest.
Waiting for the first-place marathon finishers, round-trip airline tickets, a much-deserved award that also went to someone who probably didn't expect it.
Actually, for the full marathon, we've got one last prize to give away, and it's for the last-place finisher, which was a time of 9 hours and 53 minutes, which is amazing.
Because no matter what place they came in, these runners can now say they've conquered the wall. Rachel Rubel, CGTN.
Well, we take a break. When we return, the news continues.
Hey, Nate. Hey, you look tense. I mean, what's up?
I can't help it. The internet.
Features of our special reports on President Barrow's 100 days. But with that, we'll come to the end of this newscast. Before we take leave of you, a quick reminder of our headlines once more. Gambians have assessed President Barrow's 100 days in office amid satisfaction. A joint EU, UN, ECOWAS and AU delegation has expressed readiness to support the Gambia's development aspirations after meeting with President Barrow. Officials and other well-wishers have joined former Gambian leader Sir Dawda Kairaba Jawara to celebrate his 93rd birthday. And the main seaport in the Cameroonian city of Douala has been shut down due to industrial action by dock workers. Well, that was all in this edition of the news. Thanks for the pleasure of your company. Do stay with us. I am Tenin Jite, and join us at 10 p.m. for more.